Hey guys, some of you asked me to share the template that I made for the playbook to show the probabilities that price is giving at a certain point in price and time. So this is the template and I'll quickly go over it to explain all the different details in here because there's quite some details that convey a lot of information. So to be sure that you understand it correctly, I'll go over them quickly. So above here you'll see time. And under time, you have the retracement time and the extension time, which is vertically or horizontally aligned here. Then for each time stamp, so for example, 4:15 is when when it's exactly 4:15, then there is 9 counts that have already uh, taken place. So that means that there's a 7% probability that the low is already in, and then at 4:30 then there is a count of 19, and then both of these will be used to calculate the probability that the low has already been formed, etc. So if you look at these, there is also a conditional background, so the more darkened areas are the higher numbers, so that should kind of reflect the clustering. So if you go to Monday, ODR, long, then you'll find that there will be two bigger clusters here at 4:15 to 4:30 and 4:30 to 4:45. So these two, and then a smaller one here. So it looks exactly the same. Then there's above there some indication. So hot means that there's very likely that there will be a new low still coming because of the high count. And the drop off basically means that at 44:45 that there is a big steep drop off, so that it might be likely that the low is already in and there's a high probability from that point that it's true. So each drop off comes with a certain amount of extra probability. So it would be wise to enter your trade at exactly or after the drop off. Then for extension time, we have basically only clustering. So you can also see the higher counts with the dark shaded areas, and also I used cluster and then this line to show when there's a big cluster incoming. So especially when it's at the end, it's very nice to know that. Then you have the optimal time entry, is just something fictional that I came up with, and that's basically the stack of probabilities, because at some point, in here, there's a very high likelihood of a new high and also a very low likelihood of a new low, and that point is exactly here where it's the highest probability. I'm not sure if it's really useful for anything, but if you would have a bot that would have to long somewhere based on price and time, then this would be the best place to do that, basically just probability based. So, and of course, you still need to have certain RR or something like that, but just looking at probability, this would be the place. So that's the optimal time entry. Then below that we have the retracement, or the price, and then retracement and the target. Then left we have the max retracement. It's just similar as to what you see in DR lens. The darker areas are where the count is the highest, and these darker areas are the clusters that I select and where I will be looking for a rejection or entry. Then we have here the IDR high, mid IDR, IDR lows. It's just for reference to know where you're at. It makes it a bit more easy to identify them. And then we have the red lines, is basically how strong a certain level is. So for example, here just below the IDR, there's a red line at the 0. And this smaller, this thinner red line means that it's the 30% level approximately. So if you would go long, if price would have touched this cluster and you go long here, then there's like a 30% probability that price will stay above it. Then you have the bigger red lines. These are the 2 or the 3 pixel red lines, and those are at the place where you have a 60% or 50% probability So if price comes to the 0.4, 0.5 cluster, you have a 60% probability that price will stay above it. So you can place your stop below these levels. And then lastly, you have the double red line. This means that there's a very high probability that price doesn't go below it. So yeah, you can usually call that the retirement setup, or sometimes in this case, for example, the 0.4, 0.5 has 78% probability that it's not going to go below it. So that's a very nice place to look for an entry. So sometimes things could be mixed up here a bit, so you just have to let's see, correct it a bit. So 50% is this one. Yeah, so you just have to look for yourself for each day and think about which areas are very strong. Where am I looking to enter, with a sniper entry, or where am I looking for rejection? You can use the red lines to display that exactly. Then on the right side we have the target. So I just use like an 80% target, low hanging fruit, 50% target, which is the target master aims for usually, the one left of the mode. And then you have the 30% target, which is the one actually right of the median. And then whether you should trail or not. And then also you can do like a retracement probability and time probability calculation. It just means that you're gonna, let's say price is currently at 0.5 level. Then you could say, oh, we have a 61% chance that retracement is in, and it's currently 515, for example. Then we also have a 47% probability that the low is in looking at price or at time, and then stacked we have a 108%. So the more you go, the later it gets in the day, or the lower price retraces, the higher this stack becomes. So I'm not sure if it's actually giving you some certain idea of whether it's good to do this, but it does give you an indication of whether your entry is good or isn't good. So that's it. Good luck with the template, and hope you'll find it useful.